So we're up to example 4 of 6.4. We're going to be converting rectangular to polar coordinates. So let's take a look. We've got a rectangular coordinate of -1, 1 here, right over here. And let's go. Here's our polar axis. Let's put in -1, 1. That's my point P. And if I look at it as a polar axis, it's going to be over here and then going this way. So the two things that I'm looking for are the radius from here to here, from the pole to that point there, and that angle over here. We're going to observe this as a right triangle. So sort of like a reference triangle in quadrant 2. And the easy part is the fact that I know that this is 1 and 1. Or actually, we can say that that's -1 is your x, right? And your 1 is your y. So if I want r, I simply just have Pythagorean theorem. And so r is equal to the square root of -1 squared plus 1 squared. And r is the square root of 2. And that part is pretty easy. Now we also have to figure out what the angle is. Now, if I just focus on the angle here, the reference angle, I know that this is 1 and -1. This is my opposite, and that's my adjacent, which means it's a tangent ratio. So the tangent of what angle, or the tangent inverse, gets me a -1. So what would that be? Now, if this was just a tangent of an angle to get 1, then I know it's pi over 4, but we know we're in quadrant 2, so we need an obtuse angle. So if pi over 4 gets us 1, what angle do we need to get -1? So that's going to be, right, tangent of theta is equal to -1. And again, we're in quadrant 2, so if I do the inverse, tangent inverse of -1. Remember, I know it's pi over 4, but because I'm -1, then I know that theta is going to be 3 pi over 4. And in that case, now I have my theta and my radius. So point P as a polar is going to be √2, 3 pi over 4. The other part is also, you can have the other negative coordinate, right? So if you have a negative radius, instead of going to quadrant 2 with 3 pi over 4, you can also go into quadrant 4, again with, in this case, 5 pi over 4. So if I want to write that coordinate, I could write or -√2, and then it would be 5 pi over 4, and those would be it. I'm going to take this and move it over. That's it.